So we're going to bring in CBS News radio journalist Allison Keyes. She's joining us now on the phone. She covered the Simpson trial with ABC News back in the 1990s. And I think, we'll just start with kind of like your most vivid memories, because I feel like, Lana, as we talk about O.J. Simpson and his life, there are iconic images like that, him holding up what we're showing, just so you know, him holding up his hands and the glove not fitting, the moment he was acquitted, the image of Nicole Brown Simpson with bruises on her face when they was talk about, the domestic violence that she endured. So I want to ask you, Allison, kind of what are the images that come flooding back when we talk about this?
Well, obviously, the day of his acquittal and the glove. I must say, I was a writer-producer at ABC News in Chicago, so it was my task to watch that trial all day, every day, and it was really hard, especially because O.J. Simpson meant so much to the black community. He was a black man made good. He was a celebrity. He played mentor to LeVar Burton's Kunta Kinte and Roots. You could see him running through the airport in the Hertz commercials. He was on Naked Gun. He was a football star. So this is a man the black community was like, aha, see, we can do this despite the racism in Hollywood, despite the racism in the nation. So this whole thing just blew people's minds. And it was really difficult to be black journalists watching this and then having those discussions with white journalists. We're like, how can you not think he's guilty? And I'm like, okay, I'm a journalist. I'm not the one that chooses that, but there are a lot of questions here. Black America thought he was framed in a lot of ways. They thought that evidence was planted. They didn't believe this man could do such a thing. At the beginning of his case, he was like, I am absolutely 100% not guilty. And then when Johnny Cochran, who became famous in his own right, had Simpson try to put on those gloves and said, if it doesn't fit, you must acquit, people were like, yeah, he's not guilty. So when he was found not guilty, it was a huge wedge between blacks and whites, not only in the newsroom, but on the street. You couldn't walk into a restaurant or a bar without people talking about this and yelling at each other. And I think it really exposed, the ongoing racial divide in the nation.
About that, Allison, because I also was thinking about O.J. and Nicole Brown Simpson's children, who straddle that line between Black America and white America. And then we're also straddling this line of, is dad a killer? Mom is dead. All of that. I wonder if you know anything about how they're doing, the relationship that they have with their father. Obviously, the relationship with Nicole Brown Simpson's family was fractured and never came back from that. But as a kid, seeing these other kids and thinking about them going through that, I think it was also part of us trying to navigate and understand this conflicted history.
Because these are kids that should have had everything in life, right? Yeah. Their father is a wealthy football hero. Their mother is a beautiful woman who adores them. And really, they should have been able to sort of skyrocket. They should have been able to do anything they wanted.
And on the stand, both of their parents were dragged. Nicole
Simpson's reputation, that was like for them.
Her reputation was trashed in the course of this. His reputation was trashed, and you have these innocent children who are already suffering this tremendous loss.
I can't even imagine how they are dealing with this now, with his death. And to see the images of them on television just broke your heart. And then there was the whole black community thinking, well, part of the reason that he's in trouble in the first place is that he's with this beautiful white woman. Remember, they were showing those gorgeous images of her on the sidelines of the football fields and her hair blowing in the wind and everything. And they were just like, this is retaliation for a black man who got too far. And I think that his family must have never been able to get over this. And certainly the Brown and Goldman families still don't feel that they've gotten any justice here, because he did not go to jail for that murder. And there are a lot of people that still think that he's guilty.
Yeah, I talked about like questions of justice, right? Because yes, there was the justice for the victims, which is the point of a criminal trial. But then there was this overarching theme, I guess, of justice for the African American community within the justice system that seemed to kind of like overshadow the fact that these two people were brutally murdered, and to this day, there has not been a conviction. No one has been held accountable for their deaths. And that kind of got pushed by the wayside. And part of it, you know, we're all part of it. And part of it is because this was one of the first trials, if not the first one, where the public was able to watch almost every second of the testimony.
And we watched it even
before
that. From the moment that that white Bronco was traveling down the road in that low-speed chase, we were all invested in it, and we were all captivated and watching every single second of it.
What would that be like on social media these days? There would be cameras following him all up and down the expressway. AC getting on the phone. This is AC. I've got OJ in the car. You know who I am. And everybody went, wow. You know, and the car is moving at like 5 miles an hour. But one other thing I want to say that in 2008, when Simpson was convicted on charges including kidnapping and armed robbery over the sports memorabilia, a lot of black people thought that was payback. All those years in prison for not having been sent to prison for the murders of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman.
Yeah, and part of what OJ had said at certain points was that he was trying to make a life for himself after being convicted in the public's eye in many ways. And it also goes to Anne Marie's point about justice and how he could be acquitted of the crime, but still then have a scarlet letter.
Yeah. I mean, for so many people involved in this case, at least for us, and I don't know what I couldn't imagine what it's like for them, but this case was where everything sort of stops and starts. You know, it's a pivot point. And so as we were talking, I started to think about other, for lack of a better word, characters. Do you remember Kato Caitlin?
Yeah.
And he became like a whole other character, right? This house guest.
And what a character.
Let's not forget the dog.
Sorry, Allison, what did you say?
I said, let's not forget the dog, who was almost a celebrity as well,
honest to goodness.
I mean, all those elements and what imperfect proxies they were for bigger problems in society.
Spot on, spot on. So, of course, we are going to continue to cover the breaking news, which is that O.J. Simpson has died, 76 years old. We learned in February that he had been diagnosed with prostate cancer and was undergoing chemotherapy treatment. But his family said on X that he has passed away. He was surrounded by family, and they're asking for some privacy at this moment as they deal with this transition. But of course, the whole country will be talking about him, his life, his legacy, the trial, and what it
also revealed about all of us.
There you go.